Hello and welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host, Bob Peters. I have a Navy vet with me, Tim Sorady, who is also a member in good standing, the adjutant, and a couple other things at the AMVETS Post 2006, which is our major sponsor. And we do appreciate that. Tim, I'd like you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why the Navy.
Well, to start out, I'm from Naples, Italy.
Wow.
I was born while my father was stationed there in the Naval Hospital there. Came back to the U.S. when I was young. But our family is Navy. If I would have went into any other branch, I would have been disowned.
Yeah, I hear you.
We go back a couple generations at least.
Yeah. How old were you when you came to the States?
I was months old.
Months old.
Less than a year.
Did you ever go to Italy?
I've been back, thank you, Navy, a couple times.
Oh, while you were in the Navy.
While I was in the Navy, I went back a couple times. I did visit Naples. I actually, knowing the home where I lived, which was Sisse Una via Manzoni. So
I knew
61 Manzoni Road. I actually went up there
Really?
and took the sights in. As you can imagine, it was an emotional
Oh, yeah.
visit for me.
Yeah.
And I spent some time just looking because I remember home videos from when I was a baby and, you know, back when my parents used their 8mm
Yeah.
camera.
Oh,
You know, the vines going up the walls and all, and I stood there and just looked and remembered all that. And funny thing was, I then went, and being Navy, I had to go down to the Sidewalk Cafe. I had myself a Coke.
have a little rum in it?
No,
No. Okay.
no. But I'm sitting there drinking my Coke, watching the people. And finally, a gentleman came out, and he asked if he could talk with me. I said, certainly. Yeah, I'm all for getting to know people, you know, the local people and local history and all. And he says, if you don't mind, I noticed you were standing for a long time. And I says, yes. And I explained to him, when I was born, I lived there. And he says, oh, John and Cindy.
That's your parents?
That was my parents. So he remembered my parents.
Oh, wow. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Were you the only child, or you got a brother, sister, whatever?
Well, I'm the second of 5.
Wow. Did they all come to the States?
Well, no, actually, I was the only one born over there. Everybody else was born in New York.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, I have
Okay.
an older brother that was over there when I was born. And then my sisters were born, my sisters and brothers were born in New York and New Jersey.
Okay. And any of them joined the service?
I had a brother my older brother, he joined 6 months after me. I used to write letters to my mother and telling her what a great time I was having in boot camp, and you know, when I was going to school and all. He wasn't doing too much, so he decided to go in and became a Navy nuke. And he was on submarines. I remember he was out in Washington on the Archer fish.
So how long did he do?
He was in about 10 years.
And you?
I was in for 6.
So, why'd you get out?
Things were changing.
Things were changing.
But I didn't feel, for me, it wasn't the right fit anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we thank you for your service, Tim, and
Appreciate it.
I thank you for what you do with our AMVETS Post 2006. You're a very instrumental part of that.
Thank you.
You want to talk a little bit about your Navy? Where did you go?
Well, I did 2 deployments to the Mediterranean. One of them, some things were heating up in Libya, with Muammar Gaddafi. Mm-hmm. And he established his line of death. And we were ordered to go inside the line of death. And our ship, we were the only ship there that was there.
So what kind of ship was this?
I was on a fast frigate. It was a sub-hunter. We had harpoons, ASROCs, 5-inch 54, Sea Whiz, torpedoes.
Yeah. Wow.
But the entire Sixth Fleet was standing right outside. So I think we were pretty safe.
Yeah. That's,
But nothing happened, so I think that was the start of things. Where then I was down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, for more times than I care to think about.
what did you do there?
Those were basically training exercises for our engineering spaces and ship readiness. So we would go down there, they would run drills on us to make sure we could respond properly.
Yeah. So what rank were you when you got out of the Navy?
When I got out, I was machinist mate 3rd class. I was surface warfare qualified. So
Yeah,
my surface warfare was actually given to me by James Borda.
I don't know the name.
You don't.
No. But I was Air Force. I
You were
wasn't-
Air Force, so.
I don't know Navy.
Well,
I know. The only thing I know about Navy is the most popular guy on a submarine is the cook. That's about all I know about the Navy.
it's a popular guy on all ships.
On every ship, yeah.
But no, James Borda at the time was Com 6th Fleet, Commander 6th Fleet. He later became Chief of Naval Operations.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So he was,
So what year did you go in?
I was in 82, left in 88.
Wow. I'm really feeling old now.
You should,
Well, thanks, Tim.
compared to me.
Yeah. Well, that's true, yeah.
But,
But anyway,
I went to there. We did drug operations off of Colombia, where we had a Coast Guard detachment on board, and we'd stop vessels in international water and watch them throw the bales of cocaine over the side as we were approaching. So it was interesting.
yeah, I bet that was, yeah. Because the Coast Guard is under the Department of Transportation, and they do a lot of that. They stop a lot of the drugs and everything, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Amongst everything. I mean, the Coast Guard was been in every war that we've ever been in, really. You know, it's quite an outfit. But anyway, so you did 7 years, you say, or 6 years?
6 years.
You did 6 years, and you decided to get out because we have another important topic. Not that the other one wasn't important, but this is an important topic that you personally, it's personal with you. And it's something that we want to get the word out there. You want to tell us a little bit about an event that had transpired and where you are nowadays, if you don't mind?
Well, in November 16th of 2020, I was on my way into work. I was riding a 2017 Harley Trike, just past the 5,200 mile mark on it. So it's still brand new. And I just put new pipes on there to make it louder and
Oh,
not
you got to
make sure-
have the noise, yeah.
gotta have the noise.
Yeah.
But as I was riding into work along 441, a pickup truck with a trailer decided he needed to get to the Lowe's very quickly and came through a left turn right in front of me. I was doing 55, 50, somewhere around there, and there's no way to stop. And I was hit. I went off the bike and landed on my face.
Wow. Did you have a helmet?
I wore a half helmet,
A half helmet,
a
okay.
half helmet, which thank God I wore that, not my full helmet, because it would have snapped my neck the way I landed.
Yeah. Well, thank God, that's right.
But from there, I wound up, I was very blessed that day.
How's that?
Right behind me was Deputy Chief of the the Leesburg EMS. And right away he started taking care of me. And then the nearest fire was less than a quarter mile away. It's right behind the Cracker Barrel over there on
Oh, I know that one.
441.
Yeah. It's kind of out of you can't really see it.
You can't see it, but it's there.
Yeah.
Thank God. I mean,
Yeah.
so they were there quickly. They called Life Flight in for me, but unfortunately there's too much equipment keeping me alive, so they had to ambulance me down to Orlando Regional Medical Center because that's the nearest trauma unit. And I started in there where they started surgeries right away, repair my arms, my wrists. My pelvis was butterflied. It was basically flat. Broken vertebrae.
Yeah, we have a picture. We're going to put it in there. It shows you in the hospital. You were quite the mess, my friend.
I was quite the mess.
You
But
know-
the worst hadn't happened yet.
Pardon me, sir?
The worst hadn't happened yet.
What's the worst?
2 days after I was down in Orlando, my wife was home, and she received a call from the hospital. We need your consent. We need to do emergency brain surgery because he has bleeds, and we need to relieve the pressure off my brain. Now, you know me, Bob. I like to look at sides of things. So the bright side of that call was my wife went down to the hospital, and she could never ever say I don't have a brain. Of course, she actually got to see it because it was coming
Well,
through my eye.
there are some people who say that about you, though, really.
Yeah, but see, I got a picture of it.
Yeah, okay.
I got a picture of my brain, so I actually have one.
Wow, that is some kind of, wow, I can't imagine what you went through.
I don't either because I don't remember.
Yeah. You had a long uphill battle, I
Well,
gather.
I had one doctor tell me that I'd never get out of bed.
Wow.
I had another doctor tell my wife. He wouldn't tell me, only because he didn't want to, hurt my spirits. But he told my wife about it. Well, I proved him wrong.
You sure did, brother.
I was a quadriplegic, and now I walk around where I want.
And I'm so happy for that, too, because like I say, I know you do a lot of good in the community. And how long did it take you to finally get to say, well, I'm now over the hump and,
Well, it was 10 months before I came home.
10 months in the hospital.
I was in,
Well,
in different, I was in 6 different facilities.
wow.
Some 2 hospitals, 3 hospitals, and some nursing facilities. But I went through that. I came home. A little bit after that, I got tired of my wife having to feed me because I couldn't use my arms. So what do
I
I
have
do?
not had the pleasure of meeting your wife yet, but she's got
She's
to
an
be
amazing lady.
one hell of a woman.
She is. She is one. If I know if it was any other woman, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
She's the one that pushed for me, and I can get into a story on that in a little bit.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
But because I got tired of my wife feeding me, and none of the therapists that I was going to could figure a way, there was no tool because I only had limited use of my arm. I made one.
Yeah, that's what I know about you. You're very innovative when it comes to things. You do a lot of different things. You've got a very creative ability, And what does this thing you invented, do we have a photo of that?
I don't know if there's one in the book or not.
Yeah. Well, tell us about it.
Oh, it's very simple. It was just a half-inch plate aluminum that I was able to drill 2 holes and attach a regular fork to it. And I would use my hands to be able to scoop my food, but it was long enough and I was able to adjust the angle that I needed on my utensil so I could feed myself.
You're an amazing man, my friend.
I try. Yeah. But going back to that amazing woman,
Yes, sir.
the facility where I started, I took my first steps. They weren't going to take me. And that amazing woman, Lori, she actually argued with the doctor. And she pushed, and they finally accepted me.
You know, I have a very similar experience. My uncle, who was a World War II D-Day survivor, Distinguished Service Cross, developed brain cancer. And we wanted to get him from Stanford over to Danbury, where my mother was, because that's his sister. And they said there's no place for him, no room. They don't have any room. And I looked at him and I said, you're going to tell me you can't accommodate a World War II veteran who has got a Distinguished Cross for heroism just below the Medal of Honor, that you can't find a spot for him? And they said, bring him up. Yeah, you know, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the most grease, you know?
Oh, yeah. But it was actually, that doctor came in a few days after I transferred. And she explained to me how they were not going to accept me, but my wife's arguments.
Yeah.
And she says, based on...
You got to hang on to her, you know what I mean?
I'm hanging on to her.
I would if I were you.
But she said, based upon what she, you know, that argument and what she's seen me doing so far since I've been there, she says, my whole outlook has changed, and now I'm going to base it upon the individual and not all the reports that I do. So there's a lot of people that are going to benefit from my wife's argument.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people going to benefit from what you're doing now. And, you know, we talk, which is basically a veterans show, and what the topic is traumatic brain injury. There's a lot of that in the military. You want to give like a little background or what is and how it happens?
Well, for the military within traumatic brain injuries, especially Afghanistan, Iraq, all the IEDs, the improvised explosive devices, our special forces get what is called breacher syndrome, which is a concussion from them using explosives to open doors and access. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of brain injuries within the military. And within Florida, we have close to 900,000 people, military and veterans, or military and civilians with brain injuries.
Wow. That's a lot.
There was a lot. And one of the problems being, and unfortunately this is one of the things where my wife had to pay, there was no way to find resources for somebody with a brain injury.
Not through the VA or anything?
The VA, every avenue she was given was a dead end. So, you know, not through the VA, not through, you know, things are changing
Thank God.
considerably. Not too long, I'd say about a year after I got home, one of the things that helped me immensely, I eventually hooked up with a support group. And that's where I started learning a little bit about brain injuries and what I could expect through my life. And during one of these, the facilitator was becoming involved with an organization that was forming called Brain Injury Florida. And that came about from a grant that was done where they were looking at the number of brain injuries within the juvenile justice system. And from there, they found out that there was no ways to get resources. So Brain Injury Florida was formed. And before it formed, they put out that they were looking for help. And it just so happens that fit where my mind was.
Yeah.
So I started out helping them a little bit with their website. I did an initial build of a website that I thought would help the organization. I became involved in a few committees with them. And then from there, they gave the website to a professional to do, to do all the finishing touches and certain things I had no idea how to do.
Yeah.
But now it's back to me. So I maintain their website.
So what is the website? You got a page there. What is that? That's
The website for Brain Injury Florida is braininjuryfl.org.
and how big is the organization, may I ask?
I have no idea. To step back, there was a grant done through the Administration of Community Living, which was given to the University of Florida Brain Injury, or Brain Center. And through them, we've now developed a neuro resource facilitator program within the state of Florida. And we have these people throughout the state that can help people with brain injuries. We have established a information line for that people can call in and find resources. And that's listed right on our website.
And that's good too, because somebody that does have a brain injury like that, they have to count on somebody like your wife to kind of do the groundwork to get you started.
Right.
You know? And that's why it's important that we get this website out, and so people out there will know more about. And I commend you, my friend. You know, I mean, I'm going to plug your book now.
You can plug my book.
Yeah, I'll plug your book. You wrote this book, It Will Never Happen to Me, which is all about what happened to you.
What happened to me.
There's some...
And my recovery.
Yeah, and your recovery, and, of course, I also have a nice little picture of you when you were in the service, you know.
You look so much like my son.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, if anybody wants to get the book, It'll Never Happen to Me, how can you get it?
You can get it on Amazon.
Besides how, I know you, and I know that's how I got it. But
well, you know me.
Yeah.
I mean,
but somebody out there wants to get the book, because it's an interesting read, and it kind of chronicles, your life as you start out and everything, and then what happened to you. It's a good book. You did a good job on it.
Thank you. Now it took a while to write.
And it had to be very emotional to write too.
There's parts in there that it took me months.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, I don't remember my first 3 months following the accident. I don't remember leaving my home that morning. But I do remember the nightmares that I was having.
I got to tell you a little something. I used to ride too. I rode cross country. I rode down to Florida. I went all the way to Colorado and back. I came home, and pretty much the same thing happened to me that happened to you. I was going down to pick up feeder goldfish, because I had these fish, and I had a helmet on. And I hit the side of a car like that. She pulled out in front of me. I did a flip and a half in the air, landed on the back of my head and my knees. And I got up and didn't think anything of it. My friends took the bike and they took me to the hospital and they said, okay, you're all right. So I went to work for 3 days. At the third day, I kind of like woke up. I said, I called the insurance company and said, I'll be honest with you, I don't know where I've been and what I did for the last 3 days. And it was scary, but thank God I had a helmet on. I know you're thinking lots of times I don't know what I'm doing, right?
No,
Come on.
actually, I'm actually thinking of a story. That's something that happened while I was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I was down in the VA in Lake Nona. And they brought me over to the community living center, which was just putting in a rehab component to it. And they brought me there. And I'm being bombarded with people coming into my room, checking on me, checking my vitals.
Oh,
Doctor
yeah,
coming in, how you doing? Everything good? Well, the doctor come back later in that afternoon. And so are things still good? And I'm, well, who are you?
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Yep.
And I don't know you. He says, I just met you. So they brought me back over to the ER, and they called my wife, who's had a girlfriend bring it because she was upset now, because they didn't know what was going on. And my wife came in, and she's talking to me, and I'm arguing with her that I don't belong in a VA hospital. I'm not a veteran.
But you are.
But I was visiting my friend Tim, who was in a bad motorcycle accident. He's a really nice guy, by the way.
Oh, you got another personality type thing going there.
Eventually, I became Dennis.
Oh, really?
I was Dennis for a while. And it was so funny because my wife, she leaned down when she was getting ready to go to give me a kiss. I said, I'm pulling back. You can't kiss me. You're Tim's wife. She finally convinced me to let her give me a kiss on the cheek. But one of the things I
What a
said,
strong woman she is. That's amazing.
one of the things I did notice on her was her earrings. And I told her, that cheap bastard, he didn't buy you good earrings yet? And
She said, yeah.
I did. The month before for our anniversary, I just bought her new earrings.
Yeah.
But she actually has that recorded on a video.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to laugh when you were telling me that.
Yeah.
'Cause
I want to
go back to
get the word out about the Florida brain.
brain injury, Florida.
And what? Okay, somebody calls. What are they? They're looking for help to do what? Find a facility, doctor,
Whatever they need.
counseling.
If they need counseling, if they need help finding doctors, we've had calls for long-term care. And we have two people, myself and another brain injury survivor, that take those phone calls, and we help these people find resources.
Oh,
If it's beyond what we can do, what's needed, that we can refer them back to the neuro resource facilitators, and those people will actually do home visits and more in depth than what we can do on a phone call. So that is also available.
So this is a not-for-profit,
It's a not-for-profit.
and we're going to put the website up. Is there a phone number too?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember it. It is on the website, though.
Okay, they're all
For
on
the,
the
for the a brain injury information line, the BEAL line.
Well, I got to tell you, Tim, I've known you for a while. You've really impressed me with your book, what you've been through, and what you're doing nowadays, because you're making a difference. You're my kind of guy,
Well,
One
of the things I was appointed to, again, through this Administration for Community Living, there was another grant that was put out. And within Florida, was formed a brain injury advisory board. And I guess it was just over a year ago, there was a assessment that was put out to professionals, to survivors, and to caregivers.
Yeah.
And the data from that, and we've come up now, was released just about a week ago. It's a 5-year action plan for the state of Florida for brain injury.
Great. Great.
And we're about to be broken up into work groups to start putting things into motion.
Eventually, you're going to try to work with the VA. Are you working with the VA?
We work with, that's a good story, Bob.
That's why I'm here.
Well, it's just through Brain Injury Florida and the VA, we became aware of a young lady. She is 70 years old.
Young.
She was in Vietnam. She was a Vietnam veteran. First woman on flight lines in Vietnam. She was a flight utility person on a P-3 Orion. And in conjunction with Brain Injury Awareness Month, which is March, the James Haley VA in Tampa was holding a walk to bring awareness to brain injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this woman sustained a brain injury 10 years ago on a bicycle. It took 5 years for her to be properly diagnosed.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon. But in order to bring awareness to the functional therapy needed by brain injury survivors, she started at the trailhead of the Withlacoochee Trail, down the Sunshine Trail, and she arrived at the James Haley VA in conjunction with their walk with a police escort.
You know, I'll tell you, you amaze me. You're not a guy who boasts and brags, but you're a guy who does things, and that's what I like. And yeah, I don't know what else I could possibly say, but that sounds like a great story, and I don't know what else we can say, but keep up your good work that you're doing. Yeah, keep up the good work because you know. Well, Tim, it's been an honor having you here. Once again, the book is "It Will Never Happen to Me." You didn't tell everybody. Is it on Amazon? Where can
It
you
is
get
on Amazon.
Okay.
You get either the soft cover book or ebooks.
Okay, and it's an interest. You know, it's true life, and
It's definitely true life. It's what I went through. And again, I have to thank my wife because for those 3 months, I had to review her notes. And she has a daily log of everything, every doctor that she talked to, everything that was done.
yeah.
So that's how the early days until I started remembering what was going on.
So you're fully remember everything now?
No, I am blank for 3 months,
Yeah.
except nightmares.
Yeah, I'm sure you had some of those. Yeah.
I had a lot
Oh,
of
there's a
those.
picture of her right there on the back. I forgot to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
Pretty woman, isn't she?
She is.
Yeah.
And she's mine.
Well, you're a lucky man.
I am.
I'm, but.
You know, you say you marry up.
Oh, in your case, yeah.
And
Brother.
Bob, thank you for having me.
No, I thank you for coming on and spreading the word because there's a lot of people, a lot of our veterans who, because of all the explosions and all that, have those kind of, even being on a flight line, being next to a plane, that something that, but we need to help people who need the help, and you're trying to do that, and I applaud you for that. But it's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now, you have seen my show. I know you have seen my show.
I've seen.
Because
a few
you
of them.
put it on our
I put it
AmVets
on-
Facebook page once in a while.
I always have you in the slider at the bottom of the homepage, and we make sure we promote Central Florida Salutes as much as I can.
Yeah, and our post is the major sponsor, and we appreciate that. But it's time to say goodbye. So you see that camera over there? That's the one we look at, and this is what we do, and you know what we do. To all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. Great job, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Today I'm at AmVets Post 2006, a major sponsor of Central Florida Salute. And I want to introduce to you the commander here, Ronnie Mack. Ronnie, tell us a little bit about AmVets 2006. Where are you located? And
We are at 500 North Canal Street, Leesburg, Florida. It's right off of 441, between 441 and Main Street on Canal. Can't miss us. And we're a veterans organization, along with, we have an auxiliary, and we have sons of veterans that are related some form or another to a veteran. And we do a lot for a lot of charitable donations and stuff to charities in the area and in the county, and we're a major sponsor to Central Florida Salute. We're proud of it. We're glad to be. You guys do a heck of a job, and we'll sponsor you as long as I'm here. We're going to sponsor you. So.
well, I'll tell you what, we do. Sue and I really appreciate it. We're a two-person operation, and what we try to do with education and supporting our veterans community, and you supporting us is major thing. It's major.
We're glad to do it, Bob. We're glad to do it.
And you have sons here, you have auxiliary here. You've got a website too if somebody wants to join.
Yep, it's don't punch into www. It's amvets-2006.org, and it'll take you right to our website, Facebook page, and all that's there, and you'll be able to find that. The webmaster, he tries to get the calendar on there every month, anything pertinent. There's a lot of other links on there for veterans to find out where to get help for certain claims and stuff like that. Our webmaster's really into that stuff. That's the guy you ought to be interviewing right there. So,
well, you know what,
he's got
Ronnie?
a lot of stuff.
You have a lot of clout. You tell him to talk to me, and we'll get him on the show. Okay?
I can do that.
All right. But I just want to, on behalf of Sue and myself, we want to thank AmVets 2006 because you guys are the major players behind us, and we appreciate it.
But we just wish we could do more. We really do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.